The spirit of Gan drifted high above the mortal plane. With proverbial eyes closed, his incorporeal form rested on the backs of clouds, the closest thing to sleep that the spirit could achieve. The soothing sounds of the wind caressing his ethereal ears began to break to the sound of a bombastic voice. Gan stirred as he began to drift downward as if being pulled. His excitement grew, as this had only happened to him a few times in over 200 years. After descending beneath the cover of clouds, he saw the island he was being pulled toward. From his high vantage point, the island seemed to have a tail. As Gan descended closer to a large estate near the edge of the island, the earlier voice piqued his attention again. "Okay, you three gather round. My autobiographical mover is ready, and I need opinions, people." The person talking wasn't addressing Gan, of course, but his spirit was drawn nonetheless. Incorporeal and omnipresent, he watched and listened to the ones who had inadvertently summoned him. Moving images were being cast on a large screen as a narrator recounted the adventures of Avatar Korra. However, as the story unfolded, it became evident that this yarn leaned heavily in favor of Varrick rather than Korra, to the extent of dubbing the heroes Team Varrick. As the biased retelling of events continued, both the narrative and accompanying visuals grew increasingly outrageous, culminating in a scene that featured Varrick in a mech suit resembling a chiseled chin version of himself, fighting off a towering Unalaq. The bombastic voice of the aged narrator intoned, "And after our valiant hero saved Republic City from Zombie Amon, the fearsome foursome, and the invasion of the giants, we now enter the most joyous chapter of our hero's journey." After a brief pause and throat clearing, the narrator proclaimed, "Will someone do the thing?" The image changed from a buff Varrick triumphantly standing over his defeated foes to an even more exaggeratedly muscular version of himself holding a scantily clad Zhu Li, their expressions comically mismatched with their bodies. Gan took in the entirety of the scene and saw that these images were being displayed on a large screen within a luxurious office where an elderly Varrick dramatically narrated this fantastical tale. "That's not how any of this happened," Zhu Li stated, matter-of-factly, before going on to add. "And that's not our wedding. That's a Nuktuk poster." Gan extended his gaze to see Zhu Li and a middle-aged man and woman in the expansive room. The pair seemed to share the physical traits of both Varrick and Zhu Li, with the man slightly favoring the latter and the woman the former. Varrick defended his recounting of events. "It's called intellectual license." "I thought I was the intelligent one," Zhu Li playfully retorted. Varys interjected with a smile. "Relax, you two. You're both geniuses." Bolin stood tall with an air of confidence while adjusting his glasses. "Then I guess that makes us super geniuses, eh, sis?" Varys agreed with a coy smile. "My research does show pretty conclusively that offspring inherit the best genetic traits of their parents." "Well, you can thank us later," Varrick quickly intervened before getting back on point. "Right now, I need your opinion on my mover." Varys started to speak, but was cut off by Varrick, who continued, "After the mover." Varys held back her criticisms with obvious effort. "Where were we? Oh yeah, do the—" But before Varrick could finish his trademark request, Bolin finished for him. "The thing, yeah, I got it." Bolin switched the image on the monitor, now showing a picture of Varrick and Zhu Li's family as more members popped into the frame every second. Varrick resumed his narration in a more serious tone. "With such a growing family, wonderful as they were, I found myself with less time for my first baby." The image now changed to news articles of Varrick Industries, showing declines in growth and eventually sales. Bolin interrupted with a trumpeting sound and with a magnanimous voice declared, "But new heroes emerge." Varys muffled a giggle while Varric cleared his throat in an attempt to have the floor again. But in time, Varric Industries was passed down to not one but two of my super genius children. The last comment playfully said in a less than convincing manner before he went on to add, "My eldest daughter Varys and my son Bolin stepped up to take on co-ownership of the company." Julie folded her arms and interjected with a defensive tone. "Well, on behalf of Han, Umi, Kiri, and Mei Li, I think all our children are super geniuses." "Are you kidding me? Look at that poor excuse of a floor cleaner Juan made." Varric gestured towards a robot that was meant to utilize technology crafted from airbending and seismic sense to find and suck up dirt. But after it lost its way and got turned upside down, it now looked more like Ozai after 2 rounds with Aang. "I think it has potential." Bolin and Julie spontaneously agreed. "We're getting off topic. Now where will we let's see you two take over Varric Industries? And oh yeah." Then someone decided to send panic through the hearts of all my investors when she decided to split the company in 2 to start Varric Pharmaceuticals, which caused the stock price to drop to a seemingly unrecoverable low. Varys didn't say anything, but kept a resolute face and posture, as if defending her decision. Her brother quickly came to her defense. "Yeah, and 2 years later, we were back to all-time highs." Julie continued on her daughter's behalf. "Thanks in no small part to the innovations made by Varric Pharmaceuticals' R&D team. Not to mention the revolutionary equipment we were able to create at Varric Industries with it," his son concluded while folding his arms. "Hey, I said a seemingly unrecoverable low." Varric reminded them. Bolin continued to pressure his dad to get his facts straight. "You're just leaving things out besides. I could have sworn I was named after someone who did a lot for Team Varric," he said, with obvious doubt that was ever the team name. "Oh, don't get me started on your namesake worst assistant ever. Couldn't do the thing unless his life literally depended on it." "Oh, stop. Bolin is your best friend, and he was the officiant of our wedding. You love him." Julie continued teasingly, "And I could barely keep you from naming our firstborn after him." Varys breathed a sigh of relief. "Thanks for that, Mom. And Dad, if you would have named me Belinda, I would have never forgiven you." Bolin chuckled the name Belinda, but when his sister shot him a harsh look, he pretended to get serious. "I mean Bolin. And yet, Bolin is suspiciously left out your so-called accurate version of events, along with others like, oh, I don't know, the Avatar. You saw the mover she tripped and fell into zombie Amon, knocking him into the water and thus defeating him. After Varric slowly scanned all the disbelieving faces in the room, he folded his arms, turned his head up, and firmly stated, "That's my truth." Bolin voiced his disbelief. "Come to think of it, this whole story is a little suspect. I'm starting to think you never even fought a giant red guy while in a mech suit that looked like you." "He didn't," Mom told me. "Yeah, I know, she told me too." He quickly shot back to show that he never actually believed it. Varric slumped his shoulders and looked down glumly. Julie walked over to him and gently embraced him. "Look, hun, all we're saying is, as far as an autobiographical mover about your life," she hesitated before going on to add, "it could use some work. Just be more honest, and people will be proud of you, just like we are." The siblings walk up in agreement and join in for a family hug. "Not to end such a tear-bending moment, but do you two mind if I have a minute with Dad?" Varys implored. "Not at all, but don't take too long. We can't keep all our guests waiting forever." Julie took Bolin's hand and turned toward the exit. "Oh, they're family, they'll wait. Take all the time you need," Bolin said jokingly as he and Julie took their leave. Varys helped her father to a nearby couch and watched with a pained look as the mere act of sitting down seemed to take Varric twice as much effort as it did just last year. But before he noticed, she recovered and took a seat next to him. Dad, I could use your advice on my upcoming presentation for our investors. Varick Pharmaceuticals is your baby, he admitted before adding. And in the spirit of honesty, it is a field I know little about. The extent of my medical knowledge is knowing what pumice stones work best on foot calluses. Varys tried not to gag. You, gross, but you do know how to appeal to investors. Now that, I do. Tell you what, let me know what you got so far and I'll see if I can help. As Zhu Li and Bolin strolled down the hallway reminiscing, they passed a window overlooking the western courtyard. Bolin stopped and observed the ongoing festivities. A banner displaying Happy 50th Anniversary hung above a stage where various instruments were being arranged. Family members were scattered outside, some busily setting tables and decorations, while others initiated early celebrations. "What's with the light crowd?" Bolin inquired. Zhu Li stopped and walked over to her son. "That's the way your father wanted it." Bolin gazed at his mother with noticeable disbelief. "That doesn't sound like Dad. Last year he invited so many people I thought we were going to break one of the tails off Whale Tail Island." Zhu Li giggled at the truth of the bold claim. "Well, we won't have to worry about that this year. Besides, it'll be nice to have just family here for a change." She placed an arm around her son and tried to coax him forward. Bolin began to question his mother further, but was interrupted by Varys's teenage children, Kauna and Dante Jr. "Grandma, have you talked to Mum yet?" Kauna demanded insistently. Ignoring her granddaughter's rudeness, Zhu Li greeted them both with a smile. "Hi, Kauna. Hello, Dante." Bolin sighed and put an arm around his nephew's shoulder. "Come on, Junior. Let's go get some fireflakes or something." He gestured for Dante Jr. to join him, and the pair headed toward the kitchen. "Well," exclaimed Kauna, "I haven't decided yet if I'm even going to." Zhu Li responded more scornfully than she intended. "What? What do you mean?" Zhu Li took a calming breath and gently placed her hand on Kauna's shoulder in an attempt to soothe her granddaughter. "Honey, we both know what she will say, that it's too dangerous, and I agree. Besides, unlocking bending in non-benders just feels wrong, like playing lion turtle with powers we shouldn't even have." Kauna responded excitedly, "But we will, thanks to the technology invented by Mom and Aunt Kiri. We're now on the verge of having that power, and with it, we could do great things. Not to mention finally putting an end to the equalist movement. I mean, they can't complain about benders if everyone can be a bender if they want." "You'd be surprised. Some people will always complain, and the last thing you want to do is give them power. Besides, your grandfather and I aren't benders, and look what we created." Zhu Li gestured toward the window where their family members were gathered outside. "Show me a bender that could bend a better family, even with all four elements," she added proudly. Kauna attempted to argue further, but her grandmother cut her off with a gentle hand. "Look, I know your heart is in the right place, but just because your intentions are good doesn't mean they can't have bad consequences." She continued in a softer tone. "If you want to try and talk your mom into taking Varick Pharmaceuticals in that direction, then you will have to do it yourself, but I encourage you to give it some thought first. For now, let's enjoy having the family all together." She briefly paused as her voice wavered with emotion. "As your grandfather's health gets worse, these times mean more and more to him and me." Zhu Li moved to embrace her granddaughter in a tender moment, but Kauna withdrew and walked away, leaving a slightly wounded Zhu Li standing alone. But as she looked back out the window to see so many of her family members gathered outside enjoying the festivities, her smile quickly returned.